Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So I am gonna bring this up closer just so you can see some of what is going on. And I can't tell you how much I am loving the textures and the depth, the color, the patterns, just everything. I'm so loving it. I received a comment about how the Prussian blue is just so beautiful and makes everything pop. And I just wanted to say that generally my go-to is ultramarine blue, which I absolutely love, love, love. But the Prussian blue just is so deliciously moody, and it's actually the blue that Van Gogh used for Starry Night. I mean, I'm sure he used other blues, but that was a predominant blue. And if I remember correctly, it's also the blue that Picasso used for his Blue series. And if you're familiar with his Blue series, it's about a time in his life when he was extremely, extremely melancholy and he was going through a very rough patch. So all of the paintings in his Blue series are so deep and moody and gloomy and melancholy, and just you can just feel the sorrow just dripping off the canvas. And that is this blue over here. Prussian blue. It is magic. I love it. And this particular tube is actually from France, I believe. Yeah, it's Paris. Yeah. So anyways, you guys, I love Prussian blue, and sometimes I just have to make a conscious effort to kind of use the paints that I know I love rather than reaching for my go-to. Because, you know, my instinct is to reach for the ultramarine blue all the time, but I love Prussian blue. Anyways, so what I decided to do, like I mentioned in my last video, I've been doing a lot of communicating with my painting and writing in my studio log and really trying to figure out where does my painting want to go, rather than what I think it should end up being. And I'm probably going to make another video about studio logs and how I use it for myself and how there's no right or wrong way. It just depends on you and your personality and what you want to do. But anyways, I decided that I am going to kind of keep this very kind of interesting shape over here. Like as you can see, the shoulder over here, like over here, this is, you know, just a regular kind of a figure. But over here, it's kind of like an odd shape for a shoulder. The shoulder should not be this high, but I'm going to keep it. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I want to just retain all of this stuff. And initially I went back and forth. I was like, oh, should I keep this as a face? Should I keep this as a sun? And I think I'm going to turn it into a sun, but I also want to keep like some of, see this like white, these white kind of dots. I just want to keep these patterns here. So I thought the best way for me to do that is to turn this into a sun and kind of make the sun, like the sun have a kind of a halo or a pattern around it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And now this could change, you guys, because when I was doing my studio log, my journaling, I haven't like figured out the whole nuts and bolts of it yet, and I don't know, I might get surprised and it might turn out into a face, but I think I'm going with a sun with that. So I think the first thing I want to do is I want to work on the face, put more of the Prussian blue over here, and kind of like make my sun. I think that's going to be what I'm going to be doing for this particular, like, you know, this video. So anyways, I am just going to build up my face here, and I'm gonna keep like some of the colors, but I'm also going to inject like a very earthy tone, which is my Liquitex ink in Burnt Sienna. So I'm just gonna, and that's a bit too light actually. I want it to be a bit darker, but that can come later. Sometimes I have a heavy hand, you guys, and I really have to kind of rein myself in. I don't know if you guys are like that too, but I really try to kind of not have such a heavy hand. Yeah, it is a bit difficult for me. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is when this dries completely, so maybe my next video, I'm gonna go in and just use the burnt sienna and just kind of like smush it around a little bit. But I want all these lines and stuff here. I'm really liking that for the eyes. So I'm just gonna leave that because this has got a very abstract-y kind of quality to it. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to figure out the sun situation here. So I think that's going to be too small. So let me see. I think that might be, well, I don't know. I don't want to make it too big, but I do want to retain, I'm just going to freehand it, you guys, because I want to retain, I want to make it like, you know, a good size, but I also want to retain these patterns here for the like pattern around the sun. So like I said, I have a heavy hand, so I don't want to cover up stuff and then later on regret it and be like, oh no, why did I cover it up? Okay. Now, I really do love, like I love this pink over here. I love that. So I'm gonna try to incorporate it into like the, I'm gonna try to make like circles around the sun and then try to kind of keep some of these, like just say these patterns of colors, etc., without it being too busy, because like I mentioned before, if everything is the star, then nothing is the star. And you know, some parts of the painting just have to be covered up. It's very sad. Honestly, I hate covering up parts that I love. But see, like right here, I gotta cover this up. I don't want to, but I just do. And we're gonna make another like layer here. I am so pleased with the way this whole situation turned out, you guys, like how it was an abstract, and then I was actually going to do my 100-day project mixed media portrait, but I was kind of gonna do it in the vein that I've been doing all of my other 100-day project portraits, but for some reason, you know, this just kind of immediately stood out to me, like, hey, this is going to be like an abstract. And I'm very much reminded of Connie Solera, even though I'm not painting in her book, Painting the Feminine. I have been working on it a lot, and I have been journaling about it actually in my studio log. You know, I've been kind of like journaling about me working in that book, and I am reminded, like, this still feels like me, but like with the shape of this like woman here, her shoulder, I'm kind of reminded of Connie's work actually. And I think I'm gonna leave these like 3 like fluorescent pink kind of marks. I'm just feeling it, I don't know. So I'm gonna cover up, I'm gonna cover up some of it, but I don't want to cover up too much of it. I'm gonna cover that up. Ooh, now, see, this sun has got to be a round shape, and right now it's not. It's kind of a weird shape, so I'm gonna have to cover up some of this, you guys. I was thinking that I could keep some of the circles, like make it like a halo or something, but I don't know. I want to do that, but the painting is not really kind of leading me down that path, because I want that to be a definite circle. And maybe what I can do is when it dries, I can use my chalk paint and kind of make dots around it. That's another thing I can do. I don't know if I want to keep that. I'm going to leave that white part for now. And I'm just going to leave this part. Well, I'm going to cover that up. And I'm going to cover that up too. Okay, you guys, I'm quite pleased with that. Like, do you see how me covering that, it really is making the figure like just pop? I don't know about these 3 neon like pink signs over there, these little marks. I don't know. I want to keep them, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna add some of my burnt sienna, and let me just kind of I want it to be a bit darker over here, but I still want to retain like a lot of these colors for now. It might get covered up later. I never know what's going to happen. Okay. And I'm really feeling, you guys, that once this completely dries, I'm going to use my Posca marker, and I'm either going to make some dots, like a halo around her head, or I'm going to use the Posca to make some lines and just kind of outline it. I'm really kind of seeing that in my head, but I've got to wait for this to dry, the background for the Posca to really kind of pop. So I'm just going to kind of add a little bit more of my Prussian blue here. And I'm probably going to add a few more coats, you guys. Maybe. I'm not sure. Isn't it like, it's interesting, but like I'll be so certain of something. I'll be like, yeah, I'm really going to do XYZ. And then like 2 seconds later, I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. And that's a good thing. It's, you know, me being in beginner's mind, being uncertain, being like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm just kind of going step by step. And a long time ago, when I took a lot of art classes, I've had some really good teachers and some really not so good teachers, and I'll talk about that another time, like without going to any names or anything like that. This was a long time ago. This was not online. This was in person. But I had a really good teacher who said, and I've mentioned this before, that, you know, painting is a series of decisions, and so you make one decision and it changes everything. So whether it's something small like, oh, I put a line over here, well, that changes everything, because now it changes the whole field. So now I put this line over here, and now I go, okay, well, now what do I want to do? So it's just a series of decisions, one decision after another. It's just like, okay, you make this decision, and then it changes everything, and then you make another decision, and it's just so on and so forth. So it really helps to be in the present moment, to not think too far ahead, to be in beginner's mind, to have an attitude of, yeah, I am learning all I can learn, but I honestly don't know what I'm doing. That is actually a very helpful attitude to have. It's a bonus, it's an advantage, and it's kind of like a superpower. It's like the secret sauce, if you will, to not know what you're doing. Because when you know everything that you're going to be doing, that lends to everything being very, very stilted and just like, oh, like I had this idea in my head, but it just didn't like happen the way I wanted to. And, you know, it's just like that stiffness, you know, that like frustration that I'm fighting with the page, which is never a good place to be. So just being in the moment and just saying, you know what, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what I'm doing. Those are all really good, helpful things I find when I'm painting. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.